And as we also allege, they even got help obtaining gun licenses from the NYPD, with Reitberg able to use Grant and his connections at the gun licensing division to get a full carry license within days, despite a process that normally takes months. As described, Reitberg and the cooperating witness showered officers Harrington and Grant with bribes in exchange for all these official actions. If you take a look at the chart to my right, I've already talked a little bit about what the official police action was. That was done by Michael Harrington and James Grant at the behest of Jeremy Reitberg and cooperating witness 1. And what are some of the things that we allege in the complaint that were paid in exchange for those official actions? Among other things, hotels in Rome for Grant, in Chicago for Harrington, a Super Bowl trip to Las Vegas on a private jet for Grant, over $75,000 in private security business.
You see, Bratton got his head down, right?
And some $12,000 in home contract work.
Is that Bratton?
Not to mention...
Well, Commissioner, he got his head down. Look at that.
There's even an allegation of toys for one of the officer's children.
Oh, crooked police.
Detailed at some length in the complaint.
If the top is crooked, you know the middle and bottom is.
By the way, as also alleged, Officer Grant got so used to these lavish gifts that when they didn't come quickly enough or often enough, he was not shy about making demands. In January 2015, as we allege in the complaint, there was a call with Reitberg, recorded pursuant to a court-authorized wiretap, 2 years after the Super Bowl trip to Las Vegas, and Grant is complaining that he hadn't been invited that year. Quote, "You didn't invite me to the Super Bowl, what the F?" Grant also complained that his two L's, referring to Reitberg and the cooperating witness, had not come by with gifts that Christmas, as they had done in prior years. For their roles in bribing officers Harrington and Grant, Reitberg was also charged and arrested this morning. His friend, the real estate businessman, has pled guilty and is cooperating with the government. Now, I mentioned that one of the benefits Reitberg and the cooperating witness got was helping get gun licenses. That brings me to the second alleged criminal scheme, one that corrupted a function at the heart of what law enforcement does, and that is keeping our citizens safe. You can see at the chart to my far right a depiction of some of the conduct alleged in that indictment. But let me go through for a moment in some detail. David Villanueva, an NYPD sergeant and a supervisor in the licensing division, we allege, took bribes for years from Alex Lichtenstein, a so-called expediter, in exchange for pushing through gun license applications. Lichtenstein charged clients who wanted gun licenses upwards of $18,000, and he in turn gave Villanueva thousands of dollars. Villanueva himself gave some of that bribe money, we allege, to police officer Richard Ochital, who worked under Sergeant Villanueva in the licensing division. In addition to cash, Lichtenstein allegedly also gave Villanueva and Ochital bottles of liquor and limousine rides, and in exchange, Villanueva and Ochital allegedly pushed Lichtenstein's applications through without doing all the necessary checks or getting all the information they needed to properly approve gun license applications. And what was the result of this alleged corruption? Not surprisingly, gun licenses were issued to people who had no business having them. The over 100 Lichtenstein clients who ultimately got gun licenses allegedly included, and this is in the indictment, one person who had previously been arrested for bribing a public official and for assault, and another who had been arrested for forgery, had 10 moving violations, and 3 vehicle-related summonses, and had been the subject of at least 4 domestic violence complaints, including one in which he allegedly threatened to kill someone. Since our investigation began, the NYPD has taken steps to revoke the licenses for those who should not have gotten them. But during the allegedly corrupt scheme, the gun licensing process meant to safeguard the public was, of course, dangerously compromised. Lichtenstein, as you may know, was previously charged in a complaint and arrested on April 18th. Sergeant Villanueva is now charged in an indictment with Lichtenstein and was arrested this morning. Officer Ochital has pled guilty to his crimes and is now cooperating with the government. As you might imagine, to successfully investigate a case like this, cases like these, we need strong partners, and we have very strong partners indeed at the FBI and the NYPD. I want to thank the FBI, represented here by Diego Rodriguez, the Assistant Director in charge of the New York Field Office, who has been an important partner in this case and so many other cases, as you know. Specifically, I want to thank and acknowledge Supervisory Special Agent Jared Whitmire and Special Agents Joseph Downs, Barr Hubbard, Michael Buscemi, Blair Tolman, Jennifer Ranucci, and Jason Alberts. I also want to thank, of course, the NYPD, represented here today by Commissioner William Bratton, for their work on this and other related corruption cases. I specifically want to thank and acknowledge Deputy Commissioner Joe Resnick, Lieutenant Brian Sparber, and Sergeant Mark Klausner, all of the Internal Affairs Bureau. And finally, I want to thank the investigators and career prosecutors in my own office who worked on this case, Assistant U.S. Attorneys Martin Bell, Russell Capone, and Con Nowade, supervised by their chief, Andrew Goldstein, of the Public Corruption Unit. Standing here just 2 weeks ago, announcing another public corruption case, I said that we will be as aggressive as ever in exposing corruption wherever we find it. And I said that it was too bad we seem to find it everywhere we look. And unfortunately, that now includes within the NYPD.
So now y'all need to start investigating these shootings going on against unarmed people. Investigate that
of society. It makes
vigorously.
Whether those entrusted to protect and serve them are in fact doing that. That is why cases like this are so important, and that is why we pursue and prosecute public corruption vigorously wherever we find it. Now, let me end by saying that days like today are not pleasant or easy for people in the business of law enforcement. It is not pleasant to investigate, arrest, prosecute, and punish your fellows in law enforcement who took the same oath that you did. And it is not easy to see police officers bring dishonor to an institution deserving of the greatest honor. It is a heartbreaking thing, but it is our duty to enforce the law and to uphold the rule of law, and to do so perhaps most unflinchingly when we come across people who have chosen to breach that sacred duty, because an officer who betrays his badge betrays every honorable officer as well as every member of the public. The NYPD is, in my view, the finest police force in the world, and has done more to protect our city and keep us safe than any comparable force in any city, anywhere. And I am especially proud to work with a police department and with a commissioner that has the courage to police itself, as it has shown today, which is a lot more than I can say for some other institutions. Now I'd like to bring to the podium my friend and partner, Diego Rodriguez.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. At the FBI, we have no higher criminal priority than public corruption. This case, U.S. Attorney Barara just detailed for you, shows you just how dangerous the abuse of power can be. Public servants should be above reproach, and none more so than those law enforcement officers who swear an oath to protect and serve. As alleged in the indictment, David Villanueva set aside that duty for nothing more than his own financial gain. In some instances, his alleged dereliction of duty in conjunction with so-called expediters like Alex Lichtenstein enabled the worst among us, including convicted felons and individuals with domestic violence complaints, to obtain gun permits, giving them unfettered access to firearms. This kind of corruption puts the lives of all New Yorkers in danger.